Hey Denver, how we doing? Happy Tuesday.
Good afternoon, Garrett. How are things going?
Can't complain besides the snow, but
Mhm.
spring is around the corner here.
That's right. Can't come soon enough, that's for sure.
Hope
Uh,
everyone's staying warm this week.
man, right, right.
Well,
All
I
right.
understand we got an exciting power session ahead today. Project Billings, ensuring they're accurate and timely and kind of keep up with the project so we get that cash flow coming in.
Yeah. I think we got some new updates on the billing module that we can go through for our meeting today. So we'll stick on that side of it. If there's obviously questions or comments, concerns, anything along the way, obviously feel free to drop it in the chat, and Garrett and I will make sure we get those answered. But
Sounds good.
yeah, so we're not necessarily we're not really covering the AR collections today. What we're going to be going through is like within the job, right? So I picked this particular job here. So within the job, under the financials billings, which I'll open up the screen here. So for some, this may be completely new, and for others, there may be some new stuff that you haven't seen just yet. So basically, what the idea of the billings module is a few things. One, to organize kind of all of your invoices, average days to pay, kind of collections status for this particular job. So you can see kind of all the invoices, when they got paid, invoice amount, dates for everything, if there was outstanding values for each of those invoices, but a nice good summary of kind of everything that's sitting out there for that particular project. But what we're focusing more on today is more of the workflow of the billings module, which will start by going to the pay apps section here. So what you can do within ProNovos is the ability to create your schedule values for the job. We can then enter and manage those amounts to be billed for each one of those line items. And then once those invoices are entered and tracked through the accounting system, we can then link those invoices to the entries that we create here in ProNovo. So the first time you come in here, step one would be to click on the schedule values ribbon, not so much the billing forecast button itself, but just kind of in the ribbon here. This will get you to, now in this case, I have it filled out, but a blank slate where we can create our schedule value. So there would be a plus sign down here for allow you to add the line item and what the contract amount is going to be for that specific line item. Right? And once we add in each of our line items, assign our values, we can get our total, right? And then what we want to make sure of is that it matches the revised contract amount for that particular job. So obviously just making sure the total of the contracts and what you have in the accounting system just match up with one another. Once they do, right, you'll get this, hey, it matches. We can then, the first step would be submitting. There would be a submit button down here. Click it. So that way, if I wanted to kind of have an approval process with this, I can submit it. And then once I approve it, right, this will be my finalized schedule values for this job. Okay, so just getting the line items in here, making sure it gets approved. From there, we can click back on our pay apps tab. And based on the schedule of the job, so you can see this one started, start date July of 25, end date July of 26. So we can see, right, we billed back in September. We're in February now. So what I can do now that I have my schedule values, I can go into that submit now for my February invoice. And then I can actually go through each one of those line items and plug in either how much I'm billing for this period for each line item, dollar amounts, billing for stored material, or my cumulative percent complete, right? So previously we were 50% done. So if I want to bill more, I would up it to 60 or 75 or 80%. Right. So either fill in the dollar amount that I want to bill out this month, or I can put in my total percent complete here. So if I said I want to bill out, $10,000 here, and I want to bill out 20% here, either or, right? I can fill those values in. The retention will calculate at my 10% for each one of my line items. And now that I've got how much I want to bill, I've got all my calculations working how I want them to. This is where I can then say, all right, I want to, step one would be to submit this PAP. So once again, if you want to have that kind of approval process, we can have step one be submitting it. Okay, we'll see that submitted button. If I go back to pay apps, I can now see it was submitted. So then if I want to then approve, yes, these values are correct. Yes, I want to move forward with this. I can click in here, click my drop down and approve that billing. So now I've got my approved billing put in the system and tracked for my February date, dollar amount. And then there's logic in the system, whether you want to manually link your AR invoices from the accounting system, or whether you want the system to auto link it, right? So you can just turn that on as long as they're right within 10% of each other, which I would assume so, but you can turn that on. And that way, once we go into the accounting system, bill it out, it'll automatically link that accounting entry to the invoice or transaction that I'm creating here within ProNovos. Okay. So just giving you the flexibility of creating the schedule values. This could even be, something to the tune of a worksheet for the project team to say, here's what I want to bill out for each of those line items, and then maybe take that to the accounting team where they can, formally create the invoice, bill it out, and send it off to the owner or the GCF. There's a couple different ways that you can go about it, but that doesn't seem like a very uncommon approach for tracking the schedule values in here, billing them out, and getting them sent out. One other thing you can do as well, so we talked about clicking in, billing out our amounts. At the top, when we were looking at that billing forecast enabled, this is probably the newer feature for anyone who has kind of played around in the project billings module previously, but you can click into here, and now I can see each one of my line items, the schedule value amount, and then based on the job schedule, so once again, going out to July, I can put in what I want to be percent complete with each of those line items month over month. So for February, obviously we're good with what we build out, but then maybe in March, I want to be 60% done here. I want to be 15%, and then let's just say we'll go to 50% there. So then I can update my percentages of where I want to be or where I think I'm going to be. And then it's going to start tracking, based on those percentages, how much I should be billing out if these are my numbers. So when I go to April, I want to say that's 75%, and let's say it's 45% and 60%. We have a pretty heavy month there, but now I can update those and start getting each of those values for how much I think I'm going to be billing for each of those months. And then same thing, right? You can have those be approved. Great. Here's my new billing forecast at a line item level for each of the months remaining on this particular. And I think it hopefully makes it simple enough to get in and be able to forecast these items out. Always the
Yeah,
goal
I think the
for us.
feedback I've gotten is obviously a lot of information there, but pretty user friendly to update and keep a
Mhm.
tight workflow on. So
Yes, absolutely. So for the Billings, just having the ability to forecast these out. There will be more to come on other forecasting methods that we're going to be enabling in the system here soon enough. But I guess looking through the pay apps, step one, make sure your schedule values are built out. Step two, creating those billings per each one of the line items. And then step three would be going through and forecasting out, where I'm going to be for the remainder of the job month over month. Right. Then at that point, kind of gone through the list of what we are tracking on this pay apps tab of it. So then going back to the invoices tab, once your invoices start getting into the accounting system tracked, we can then start managing those projected payment dates. Those can either be manually done or there's new logic to assign those updated projected dates. Right. That way, once again, for cash flow purposes and just keeping tabs on everything about the job, we can just keep everyone in the know, from the accounting team to the project team to the billing team, whomever, right?
For some that might just be getting in here, can you explain just a little bit on the projected date and how we get there?
Yeah. Yep. So the projected date, now these are paid, so it would probably be better served if I picked maybe a job that has some unpaid invoices. But what we can start to look at is for any of the ones that have an outstanding balance. So right now I just have it set where I want to use the due date of the invoice as the projected date. However, if I click into here, I can then manage, right? When do I think I'm going to get paid on this particular invoice, right? So I can just manually change it, etc. You can also go into the flyout window on the left. Now we can start to see, hey, here's what our project pays on average. So 51.6 days. So if I had an invoice dated February 15th, I would see, based on that payment history, I should be expecting payment right around April 8th, as opposed to that March 31st date. So if I decide I want to use that as my new date, I can click it. You'll see that I'll change it, and then I can save it. And now that this would be kind of the manual approach for assigning those projected payment dates, but effective nonetheless, where now I can start to see, okay, yes, it's due on the 31st. That's the expectation, but we're planning or expecting or projecting that invoice to be paid around April 8th. So that way we can appropriately forecast our cash positions when you start looking at the cash flow forecast model. Right. Now, I said that that's the manual approach. There are ways within the AR collections module to help automate those projected payment dates based on, average days to pay of the customer, of the job, of the company as a whole. But we can save that for another time, looking through more of the cash flow or AR collection side of things. But those are some of the options for managing those. Okay. So we can, I guess, open it up for some questions and or comments or requests or anything. And then we'll stick around for a few minutes here, and then we'll wrap things up.
Sounds good.
I think for the next one, Garrett, our next power session here.
I think we have a quick pay direct coming up, so that'll be a good one.
Yes, on March 10th, our typical time, 1 o'clock Eastern, will be a power session on the new quick pay direct functionality that's going to be should be enabled in the system, but we'll have a dedicated power session. We have some other webinars too kind of floating out there as well for kind of what that quick pay direct functionality is, who can take advantage of it, how does it benefit each of the specialty contractors that are using ProNovos, right?
Yeah,
So
I'm sure they're
definitely
familiar with
something.
cash flow, but it'd be good to get more in depth on that and explain the benefits of the offering. So
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, I'm not seeing too many questions or anything today, so we can wrap things up. As always, we'll have this available on the website pretty quickly. And then if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to Garrett or I. And with that, we hope you all have a great rest of your day and hope to see you on the next power session.
sounds good. Thanks, Denver. Talk to you guys
Yeah.
less soon.
Thanks a lot, Garrett. We'll
Bye.
see you.